It was an unfair election in many ways. I mean, you had states that were changing their election practices or election laws.
Nowhere does Tom Cotton say there was fraudulent votes, right? Like, Tom Cotton is trying to do the fancy pants election fraud talking points.
MAGA right-wing Senator Tom Cotton was a guest on Meet the Press on Sunday, and he was asked a very simple question. Did Donald Trump lose the election in 2020? You can imagine how this went. Tim Miller of The Bulwark broke all this down. We're going to take a look at clips from The Bulwark with Tim Miller, as well as clips from Meet the Press with Tom Cotton. I'll share my thoughts as well. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from The Bulwark. I wanted to talk about the most telling exchange from the Sunday morning political news shows this week, and that comes between Tom Cotton and Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, where Tom Cotton is posed the question that J.D. Vance could not answer at the debate with Tim Walz. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? I think that the way he handles this is interesting and telling and dispiriting on a few levels. So let's just break it all down. Here is how the exchange with Kristen starts.
I want to talk about one of the big moments this week from the vice presidential debate. We just played it in the open when Senator J.D. Vance refused to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I want to put this question to you, Senator, just to put this to rest. Can you say definitively here and now that Donald Trump did lose the 2020 election?
Kristen, Joe Biden was elected president in 2020.
That's not an answer. That's not an answer. The question is, did Donald Trump lose? The answer is yes. You know, like if the question is, did you eat breakfast this morning? Like the answer is either yes or no. The answer is not, a banana appeared in my belly. Wait, what do you mean a banana appeared in your belly? Well, a banana was in my belly. But did you eat breakfast? Well, a banana was in my belly. It's like, that's not an answer. Like, you either ate it, breakfast, or you didn't. Donald Trump either won or he lost. He lost. It's like the whole word game element of this, we'll get to that a little bit more. Let's hear him now explain why he's saying that Joe Biden was elected rather than saying Joe Biden won the election, which might seem like a distinction without a difference to those of you who don't have an ear for the broken brain, stop the steal verbiage of the MAGA right. But for Tom Cotton, it is different to say that he was elected rather than he won the election. So let's hear him explain why.
It was an unfair election in many ways. I mean, you had states that were changing their election practices or election laws, sometimes in violation of their constitution. You had networks combining with big tech to suppress what we now know to be a truthful story about Hunter Biden's laptop and the evidence that it exposed about Biden family corruption. So obviously Joe Biden was elected president. We know that in part because...
But did Trump lose?
Tom Cotton, to me, is one of the slimiest of all politicians. And I know that's saying a lot with all the slimy Republicans that we have slithering around right now. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is Tom Cotton one of the worst of the worst? And also whenever I hear him speak, I mean, this is neither here nor there, but it always reminds me of, this is going way back, but Dana Carvey used to say that Al Gore sounded like a gay Forrest Gump. That's what I always think of the Southern accent, but he also sounds a little bit gay. That's what I always think of with Tom Cotton. I don't know. Anybody agree on that? And could we have some kind of a machine hooked up to these guys when they're on these shows, and every time they give a BS answer like this, they just get a little shock? Not enough to cause any serious damage, but they just get a little shock. Enough that, they have to course correct a little bit and be like, okay, he lost. I mean, the world that we're living in right now is just absolutely insane.
Okay. I mean, these excuses are so tiresome at this point. Now, there's one thing I want you to really notice before I go through his explanations. Nowhere does Tom Cotton say there was fraudulent votes. Right, like Tom Cotton is trying to do the fancy pants election fraud talking points. There's the down home regular MAGA Joe Donald Trump explanation, which is he got more votes. If God did the counting, he would have even won California. This is what the dumbs are saying about the election, okay? There's like a dumb people.
The dumbs. I'm going to start. I really like this from Tim Miller. And his analogy with the banana appearing in the belly is great. But the dumbs, I think I'm going to have to use in the future.
Election thievery talking point that's like Donald Trump literally won, the voting machines are broken, and they stole it from him. Those types of lies, the types of lies that cost Fox News and Newsmax and others lawsuits because they are provably false, right? Like they are provably false. Donald Trump did not actually get more votes. And yet, despite the fact that they've been proven false over and over again, there's the dumb election fraud lane. Some people are still driving down that. Some people are still in the dumb election fraud lane. They figure there's enough dumb people out there that they're going to buy what they're selling. And so they're just kind of speeding down that highway. They don't care about the fact that Fox News had to pay $787 million because of their lies. So they're speeding down it. Okay. Then like up here on the high road, there's this high road. It's like the Winnie the Pooh and the tuxedo election fraud lies. And this is what these people say. They don't say that Donald Trump won more votes. They don't say that our elections are fraudulent or that the count was wrong. They fall back on a couple things. One is that the election laws were changed in 2020. And they're kind of vague about what they mean by this. But what they're talking about is how, because of COVID, a lot of states and jurisdictions changed the rules for how you might be able to submit your ballot. Like some of them added drop boxes. They might have changed the number of days you could come in. They might have made it easier to do absentee ballot or mail-in voting, right? Like all these things during a mass pandemic that killed 1 million people in this country. Like there were some reasonable concerns that maybe we shouldn't have people gathering in a big gymnasium, waiting in a long line, breathing on each other to vote. And so they made some changes that gave people other options for how to vote. So that's it. So they didn't change the election laws like they started canceling a bunch of MAGA votes. So they started creating new Democratic votes. They just made it easier for people to vote legally if they wanted to. That's the conspiracy. They made it easier for people to vote legally if they wanted to because of the pandemic. That's the conspiracy. They make that sound very scary and bad and dangerous, but like fundamentally, that's what happened. And so, okay, I mean, I guess if you want to say that because more people are able to vote, that's bad, I guess. I don't even understand what the argument is for why that would disqualify Joe Biden from winning. More people were able to vote. More people voted for him legally.
Yes, for MAGA, more people voting, that is bad. They want as few people to vote as possible because more people vote and then they lose. To Tim Miller's point here with I like his analogy of Winnie the Pooh in a tuxedo. So Tom Cotton is an attorney, as so many of the people in Congress are, but he's an attorney, so he's giving he's going to use all kinds of legalese. We go back to the Bill Clinton days of what the definition of the word is. So this is the kind of thing that Tom Cotton is going to do. But I really like this analysis from Tim Miller because he's a former Republican, and we need not more of the Dick Cheney or Liz Cheney Republicans. I mean, she's not a former Republican. She's still a Republican who want to try to infiltrate the Democratic Party and turn it into the old Republican Party of just a few years ago, where we just have another far-right party. You just wouldn't have Donald Trump in it. But Tim Miller is a former Republican, and he's saying things that make sense and pointing out all of these ridiculous lies and logic pretzels and all of this of people like Tom Cotton and other politicians and pundits within MAGA. It's all insane right now, and Tim Miller is pointing out how insane this is to not just have politicians always not answered questions. Yes, that has always been the case. But really, since Donald Trump has come into power, and you have all of these people who want to be Donald Trump mini-me's, that everything is a logic pretzel, and there are no straight answers on anything, and everything is, well, what about Biden? It's all whataboutism, logic pretzels, and never any straight answers. And I wish that they're not going to do this, but I wish that shows like Meet the Press and the shows on CNN and MSNBC would stop having these people on their shows. And when they have somebody like Tom Cotton on there who won't give a straight answer when asked, did Donald Trump lose the election? They just say, all right, we're not going to allow you to come on here and not provide answers, not tell the truth, to lie, to spread disinformation. You no longer will be on our show. And they could say, yeah, we're not going to have Tom Cotton on Meet the Press anymore because this guy won't tell the truth. I wish the media would do that, but they're never going to. And I also, here's my prediction for the election. If Donald Trump loses, then all of these people, I mean, it might take a few weeks, but all of these people like Tom Cotton are going to pretend like they never said any of these things. They never knew Donald Trump. Who's that? They never knew him. They are going to refuse to talk about Donald Trump after he's out, and they will pretend like they never supported him. That's my prediction. But what do you think? What do you think, first of all, of Tom Cotton? Where do you think he ranks among the slimiest Republicans? This guy, he's way up there. You know, he doesn't get as much play as some of the other ones, but he's way up there in sliminess, I feel. Let me know in the comments what you think. How do you feel about how Tim Miller broke this down, his analogies and everything? I think the banana in the belly and I particularly like Winnie the Pooh in a tuxedo. Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. My channel's growing really quickly, getting close to 25,000 subscribers. That's thanks to you and your likes and subscribes and comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so I can continue growing and bringing out more content like this. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.